You can see my background. I've just changed the background. How is the background? Oh, very nice. I was struggling. Okay. Good morning. We start today's class. See, I didn't try this changing the background, but even then uh, this will be very difficult. But somehow it's okay. Okay. So yesterday we have stopped here at NAT. So network address translation and port forwarding. So network device, whether a consumer level wireless access point or an enterprise grade firewall or the gateway between networks, they separate external networks like the internal from the private networks, like those used by the system in your homes. The systems on the internet must have unique public IP address. This ensures that packets for the websites or a gaming server always go to the right destination. If the same public IP address were permitted to be used for different unrelated servers, then traffic control could be nightmare of congestion and security problems. Internal networks, on the other hand, use non-routable IP address referred to as a private or RFC 1918 address. So RFC 1918 refers to the document that explicitly defines the address space of the following networks. So the Internet Assigned Number Authority reserved those IP address blocks for private networks. This enables organizers large and small to build networks whose traffic will not leak onto the internet unless it passes through a gateway device like a router or a firewall. Internet traffic should never accommodate packets whose source contains an RFC 1918 address. It also means that organizations are free to use address with this within these networks without worrying about whether other networks are using the same IP address. That is, until they start trying to tie networks together with VPNs or similar links, but those are network design problems for a different books. The ability for organizing to independently use the same private network addresses reduce the risk of running out of unique address for the millions and millions of devices on modern networks. So this address scarcity problem will be solved when IPv6 is more universally adopted, because IPv6 exponentially expands the available address space. IPv4 supported about 4 million devices theoretically due to its 32-bit address field, uh, but much of that space cannot be used for practical addressing. IPv6 uses a 128-bit address field, enough for roughly 3.4 into 1038 unique devices. We will run out of Funny Cat video and Doctor Who's episodes long before we need to worry about running out of IPv6 addresses. The non-routable nature of private address space poses a problem once a device need to access the internet. So the addresses are fine for synchronizing your stereo with your music collection stored on a local network, but they won't work when your device with the address 10.0.1.42 needs to retrieve her music from storage on the internet. The music storage service needs to know the difference between your device using the 10.0.1.42 addresses and someone else device using the same IP address on their private network. Network address translation solves this routing problem by translating packets from private to public address. NAT is usually performed by a network device on its external interface for the benefit of the system on its internal interface. A NAT device allows machines on its private internal network to masquerade as the IP address assigned to the NAT device. So private system can communicate with the network using the routable public access IP address on NAT device external interface. When a NAT device receives traffic from a private network designed for the external network, that is internet, it records the packet source and destination details. The device then rewrites the packet's header such that the private source IP address is replaced with the device external public IP address. Then the device extends the packet to the destination IP address. From the destination system point of view, the packet appears to have come directly from the NAT device. The destination system responds as necessary to the packet, sending it back to the NAT device IP address. When the NAT device receives the response packet, it checks its address translation table to see if the address and the port information of the packet may match any of the packets that had been set out. If no matches is found, the packet is dropped or handled. According to any firewall rules operating on the device, if a match is found, the NAT device rewrites the packet's destination, that is IP address, with the IP address of the system that originally sent the packets. Finally, the NAT device sends the packet to its external destination. The network address translation is completely transparent to the system on the internal private IP address and the internet destination. The private system can access the internet, but an internet system cannot directly address it. So we have seen this even the long time back. If you have any trouble visualizing on this, so what we are doing is we have a private system. So now even my laptop will be having IP address, even where you're using, whether if you're using a laptop or a mobile also, because you are using internet. So then definitely you'll be having the IP address. So the private IP address, private client, here we have the IP address as 192.168.1.10. And this with this IP address, it has with the port number 1099, it wants some information from a Yahoo website. It will send a request. So when it is sending a request to the Yahoo, so meanwhile it reached to the Yahoo, in between a firewall will be checking. So when this firewall will be checking, along with this firewall, a NAT table will be created. So this NAT table will be attached for the IP address what we are sending to the Yahoo. So then this packet source address, whatever we have, 192.168.1.10, firewall replaces the packet source address with 1209.190.216, because unknown person should not know my IP address. So that's what here the packet firewall. So then this sends the packets to the intern. The firewall will be sending a packet to the cloud internet, and that will be sending back to the wall. And then the firewall checks NAT table for connection to the Yahoo, and again it will come back to the firewall replaces. That Yahoo will be again attaching the its IP address. So again the firewall will encryption, decryption will be done by the firewall, and that IP address will be changed, and in turn it will be sending back to the system. So NAT has few limitations with regards to the kind of traffic it may successfully translate. The packet header manipulation will interfere with any protocol that requires the use of true IP address, such as IP section. Also, any protocol that require a separate reverse incoming connection, such as active mode, FTP will not work. The outgoing FTP control connection to the FTP server will make it through the NAT device just fine. But when the FTP server attempts to establish the data connection, the NAT device won't know what to do because it does not have a corresponding entry in its translation table. The NAT prevalence has influenced people to create work around to resolve these limitations. So in the end, NAT has become integral to a firewall and security, network security. It provides an added layer of security for the firewall appliance, as it not only protects the machines behind its internal interface but also hides them. But what happens if you decide you would like to expose a particular service on your private network to the internet? What if you want someone across the country to be able to look at something you had posted on your internal web server? For this, you can use a technique called as a port forwarding. The NAT device may forward traffic received on the particular port on the device external interface to a port on a system on the private internal network. A remote system on the internet that connects to a NAT device on this port effectively connects to the port on the internal system and only needs to know the public IP address of a NAT device. This is all well and good, but now you are made your private network a little less private by exposing the service listening on that port. So now anyone on the internet can access your internal web server by connecting to the port on your NAT device. If your NAT device is firewall, you can use firewall rules to limit with which IP address are allowed to access it. While this is more secure, you'll still relying solely on IP-based authentication. On my occasions, user who have built fortified private networks may find it necessary to open up internal network resources to another remote facility. There are many ways to restrict access from that remote facility and prohibit the rest of the internet. But do we really want to forward dozens of ports and often and open dozens of holes in our firewalls? Or a dozen of rules and exceptions. This is where the virtual private networks come into play. Next, we start with the basics of virtual private network. So now what we are doing, we are conducting classes online, means we are virtually one-to-one. We can only see, even if you are on your videos, we can see. But still what we have done, we are in a virtual mode. So before all, how was the thing? It was offline. Even we were able to see you, everything. That was a non-virtual. But we are, now what we are doing a class, online classes is a virtual. So the basics of virtual private network. So the virtual private network, VPNs, are complex subject in terms of identifying, authenticating, and encryption. So what the VPNs are, it is bit complex, where to identify, because it is a private. So identifying private virtual network becomes little bit difficult, and authentication. So how we have all authentication like username and passwords for all the wherever we have credentials, we use a username and password, and some places we use a PIN number. In the same way, authentication becomes difficult in a virtual private network. And encryption. So we want to hide our details so that no one else can see the details what we have. So that's what here encryption. So we touch on them here because so many firewalls and network device provides some degree of VPN capability. In essence, a VPN establishes an encrypted channel between two networks or a single system or a combination thereof that is overlaid on a public network. It is designed to mitigate the impact of using a hostile network like a public Wi-Fi connections where data may be sniffed or intercepted by an attacker. So the VPN's encrypted traffic is meant to be opaque to anyone who tries to monitor or interfere with it. So the VPN provides confidentiality and integrity. A VPN server requires a remote client to authenticate to it before it will connect the remote client to the protected network. A VPN extends the boundaries of a network, which creates a mixed sense of security. On the other hand, the client now has a protected channel into another network. On the other hand, the network has a new ingress point and must trust that the client neither has a malicious intent itself nor a compromised by it. So what we are doing in VPN encrypted traffic is meant to be opaque to anyone who tries to monitor or interfere with it. So the VPN provides confidentiality and integrity. A VPN server requires a remote client to authenticate to it before it will connect the remote client to the protected network. So the VPN extends the boundaries of a network, which creates a mixed sense of security. On the other hand, the client now has a protected channel into another network. So on the other hand, the network has a new ingress point and must trust that the client neither has a malicious intent itself nor is compromised by. So VPN usually forwards all traffic as much traffic as desired between the networks over a single set of port. So imagine how many port forwarding and firewall rules you had have to write if you had to open up several internal network resources to a remote location. File sharing, printer sharing, code repositories, websites, and other services could create a NAT and port forwarding configuration nightmare. So the same way what we are doing here, imagine how the port forwarding and firewall rules we had to write if you had to open several internal network resources to a remote location. So file sharing, printer sharing, code repositories, websites, and other services could create a NAT and port forwarding configuration nightmare. By combining the capacity of a firewall, a NAT device, and the VPN is one network device, you can greatly improve the external security of your internal network without losing convincing or productivity. So inside the delimited zone, our final concept related to firewall is the creation of a separate network segment, often called a delimiterized zone. So then short form, we call it as a DMZ. Our final concept related to firewall is the creation of a separate network segment, often called a delimiterized zone, that is DMZ. So the DMZ usually contains important server or service that are exposed to greater threats of compromise, either because of their nature. Example, web server, game server, or a chat server, or because of their history of insecurity. Example, web application. So what is the inside delimited zone? Our final concepts related to firewall is the creation of separate network segment, often called delimitized zone. So what we are doing, we are creation of a separate network segment. So what do we mean by segment? Segment means bigger components are broken into small things. Same way here, what we are doing, separate network segments are used for a DMZ. So DMZ is what? DMZ usually contains important servers. So what it will be having? It will be having a servers, important servers. Like we have a web server. So we have a email server. So web server, all details of related to searching. So we keep searching, right? So that is present in a web server. So then email server, all your emails, those will be present in an email server. In the same way, there are so many other servers where we use it, or services that are exposed to greater threats of compromise, either because of their nature. Example, web server, game server, or a chat server, or because of their history of insecurity. Example, web application. We have discussed firewall and a NAT device that have an external interface with a public routable IP address and an internal interface with the private non-routable IP addresses. The DMZ is a form of containment that tries to restrict a compromise to the system or a systems on that network segment, thereby shields the rest of the network that is being protected by the firewall. So we have to discuss the firewall in a NAT device that have an external interface with a public, the routable IP address, and an internal interface with a private non-routable IP address. So then DMZ is a form of containment that tries to restrict a compromise to the system or systems on that network segment, thereby shielding the rest of the network that is being protected by the firewall. For this reason, most firewall appliances come with the third network interface to serve an additional network segment. Using an additional interface to establish another network enable you to create rules that apply to the type and direction of traffic between the internet high risk service and your other systems. One thing to keep in mind is that firewall rules become a little trickier and more complex when dealing with more than a two interface. Most commercial firewalls will mask all these details for you with simplifying their rule syntax, but the freeware package that comes by the default on a Unix-based system may require to understand specific terms. So taking a look at the following diagram details, the network interface on our firewall, the private network hang off the internal interface, that is Ethernet 0, and the public network hangs off the external interface, that is Ethernet 1. And the DMZ hangs off the DMZ interface 2. So we can see here, we have an external internet, internal internet, and a DMZ trusted. So what this firewall is doing, incoming and outgoing of the packets are being sent between the external internet and the DMZ. So in the same way, you can see Ethernet 1 is for a external, Ethernet 2 is for a DMZ, and Ethernet 0 is for a internal internet. So incoming and outgoing, also we have a DMZ there, where we can see how the information is being passed from the external to a DMZ trusted. So now, if a two interface configuration, if we want to protect our firewall device as well as the machine behind it, we did want the firewall software to examine packets on the internal interface, that is Ethernet 1. On Ethernet 1, outgoing traffic is coming through the firewall, and out Ethernet 1, and incoming traffic is coming in through Ethernet 1 to the firewall. If we had a third interface and we want to protect our machine on that interface, that is the DMZ, we might want our firewall software to examine packets on the DMZ interface, either interface, that is Ethernet 1, Ethernet 2, as well as on the Ethernet 2, outgoing traffic is coming through the firewall. So you can see there we have even a firewall for both the external internet connection as well as the DMZ, where for both of these we have a firewall. So whatever the packets we send, it has to reach to the firewall. From there only it will be sent to the next internet, either it may be private or a public. On Ethernet 2, outgoing traffic is coming through the firewall, and the out for the Ethernet 2, and incoming traffic is coming in through the Ethernet 2 to the firewall. If we look at the diagram, this is backward from the way the Ethernet was set up. So on Ethernet 1, the machine hangs off the Ethernet, that is internet, are considered untrusted. On Ethernet 2, the machine hangs off Ethernet 2, the DMZ are considered trusted. This is something we need to consider when writing firewall rules for the DMZ interface. If a machine on the public internet wanted to talk to the machine on the DMZ, our firewall device could first receive a packet inbound on Ethernet 1 and decides whether that incoming packet should be passed on to the DMZ. If it passes, the packet will be forwarded on Ethernet 2. That packet will be sent outbound on Ethernet 2 to the DMZ. The firewall on Ethernet 2 will then have to decide whether that outgoing packet should be passed on the DMZ machine, even though the packet is inbound from the public internet to the DMZ. The packet appears outbound from the perspective of Ethernet 2. Let me complete taking attendance, then again I will start. Answer your attendance, Ambarish.
Yes, ma'am.
Anu.
Present, ma'am.
Ashok. Ashok. Benita.
Present, ma'am.
Bhavishya.
Present, ma'am.
Chaitra.
Present, ma'am.
Diksha. Diksha. Deepika.
Present, ma'am.
Murli Krishna.
Ma'am, Diksha.
Present, ma'am.
Okay. But Harshit.
Okay.
Harshit. Kishore.
Present, ma'am.
Manjunath.
Yes, ma'am.
Nayana. Nayana. Nilanjan. Nilanjan. Nishant.
Present, ma'am.
Rajeshwari.
Present, ma'am.
Rabia.
Present,
Ramya.
ma'am. Present, ma'am.
Rashmi.
Present, ma'am. Present, ma'am.
Srinivas.
Present, ma'am.
Sunil.
Present, ma'am.
Okay. So in most cases, we can configure the firewall on Ethernet 1 to protect both your internal as well as DMZ networks without hanging to watch traffic on either Ethernet 0 or Ethernet 2 as well. However, it's an important concept to grasp if you are if you ever find yourself firewalling with two interface on one device. So firewalls and rule sets for more complex network topologies might need to handle several interfaces, thereby segmenting a network into different security areas and levels of protection. The concept of incoming and outgoing changes depending on which side of the interface you place your trust network. When writing firewall rules, you always have to consider the perspective from which rule see packets in order to correct, accept, or deny. So Linux system firewall. So before I continue, I just want to show you people something very interesting. Okay, so anytime you have tried this, you can just have a look. You can take down myaccount.google.com. Everyone, please hear. Can everyone see what I am saying? myaccount.google.com. Can you press that in your mobiles also? If you are using mobile or desktops, you can just try this, myaccount.google.com. Yes, typed. Anybody?
Yes, ma'am.
You type this, what you have typed, myaccount.google.com. Yeah, then what you're seeing there? Yes, what you're seeing? You're seeing something like this? You're able to see this one?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Then click on personal information. Click on personal information. Clicked on personal information.
Yes, ma'am.
See what you can see there. See all the information related to you. So my name, my birthday, female, what is the password, and what are the mail IDs you have. You can just check out the mail IDs which you are using. You can keep it. Which you don't want, in case suppose sometimes we know if Facebook, someone has hacked our Facebook and they created their things. So by this you'll come to know. So you can change your email IDs. So in the same way, so come down, then come to security. Come to security. Came to security.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in security, you come to your devices. Come to devices. Came to devices. Came to devices.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Click on manage devices. Clicked on manage devices.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in that you see your mail IDs, where it is on. So my mail ID is on in my mobile as well as in the laptop. Same way you can check in your thing. Why I am asking is, suppose if you have lose your what is this mobile, so then your data will be there, right? Yes, everyone. So everyone, I just want everyone at least listen to this 10 minutes. Everyone, please. This is very important, not for your syllabus, but for your mobiles, other details. Okay. So I will repeat. So everyone, please type myaccount.google.com. My account. Everyone is here. Kishore, Srinivas, Rashmi, Sunil, Murali Krishna, Manjunath,
Yes, ma'am.
Rajeshwari. Yeah, please. Ramya. So everyone, please. You just type in your mobile or in your laptop, type myaccount.google.com. Typed? Have typed? It is very interesting. You can safeguard your details. Okay, then click on personal information. Click on personal information. You can see all your information is present in the Google. Yes. So your name, photo, what in case some people will be giving a photo for your this one, even that is also present. Yes. So then your mail addresses, in case if you want to, suppose one more person has hacked your thing and you want to change it, you can see here. So this is one thing. And then come to security. Come to security, and you want to know where is your where are your Gmail opened, Facebook opened, WhatsApp. So all these you can see. So your devices. So in which devices your mail is present. So that's what here you can see. In my device, the Gmail is present in both. One is in a laptop and one is in my mobile. Okay. So now I have lost my mobile, and it shows. You can see here all the details it is showing. So what is my mobile details? So you can see my HP, from which place it is, from Karnataka, and where I have signed in. So when I have signed in, so this was the thing where I have signed in. So, and IP address also. So you can see from which IP address it is. Yes. So this is about one device. So in the same way, come to mobile also. So which is my mobile? This is what the mobile is. You can see what is the mobile and which country I am, when I have logged in. So all these details you can there. Along with this, now you are, I want to know, suppose if I have lost my mobile. Yes, we will lose, and I want to find out where is my mobile. So you can see where is my mobile. It is showing you, right? It fetched. You can see here. So there is a mobile here, and it is 90%, 93% charge is there. We keep in a silent mode. Yes or no? So you can see where I am. So this is a place where I am. You can try this even in your mobiles also. Yes, you're trying? Trying or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Then if your mobile is in silent mode. ಓಕೆ ಸೊ ಕೆಲವು ಸರಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಡಿಸ್ಟರ್ಬ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಸೈಲೆಂಟ್ ಮೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಇಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಕಳ್ದೋಯ್ತು, ಇಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಅವಾಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಇಂದ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಕಳ್ದೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು? ಸೊ ಇವಾಗ ಸೈಲೆಂಟ್ ಮೋಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ರು, ಸೊ ಈವನ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ ಸೈಲೆಂಟ್ ಮೋಡ್, ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಮೇಕ್ ಯುವರ್ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಟು ರಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ 5 minutes. ಸೊ ಹೆಂಗೆ, ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಶೋ ಯು. ಸೊ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಹಿಯರ್, ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್. ಸೊ ನೌ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಮೈ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ and I want my mobile to ring. Yes, nan mobile ring agbeku. ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ?
Yes, ma'am.
ಸೊ ಈಗೇನು ನನ್ನ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಸೈಲೆಂಟ್ ಇದ್ರೂ ಥ್ರೂ ಇದ್ರಿಂದ ನಾನು ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ, ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಇಟ್. ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ನಾನು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಥ್ರೂ ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್ ನನ್ನ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಸರ್ಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ನನ್ನ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ ಸೈಲೆಂಟ್ ಮೋಡ್. ಎಸ್, ಸೈಲೆಂಟ್ ಮೋಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಟಾಗ ನನ್ನ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ಗೆ ಸೈಲೆಂಟ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ರಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ತಾನೆ? ಎಸ್, ಸೊ ಆ ತರ. ಓಕೆ, ಈಗ ನನ್ನ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. 5 minutes ಹೀಗೆ ರಿಂಗ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ 5 minutes ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ಡ್ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಇಂದ ನಾನು ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡೆ. ಓಕೆ, so ಈಗ ನಾನು suppose if I've lost my mobile, my data is there, my bank details is there. So even I want to erase all my details. So ಇಲ್ಲಿದೆ ನೋಡಿ, set up secure and erase. ಇದನ್ನ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ, ನೀವು ಹೊಸ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, if you want to sell your old mobile and suppose ಆಫರ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಸೊ ಆಫರ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನೀವು ಸೆಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ನಿಮ್ದು ಹಳೆ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಹೊಸ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ತಗೋತೀರಾ. ಹಳೆ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ನ ಹಾಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಏನಾದ್ರು ಮಾಡಿ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ? ವಾಟ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಡೂ ವಿತ್ ಯುವರ್ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಮೊಬೈಲ್? ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಗಿವ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಆಲ್ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್, ಆಲ್ ಡೇಟಾ ವಿತ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಗಿವ್ ಟು ದ ಪೀಪಲ್, ಆರ್ ಹೌ ಯು ಡೂ?
We will erase all the data.
You will reset, right? There is an option called as a reset. In case if you are giving, suppose if you have lost the mobile, then what you want to do? You want to erase all the data so that no one should use your details. Then what you have to do? So here we have an option called as a erase. So if you click on this, all your data, whatever is there in the mobile, it will get erased. Yes. So this is one thing I just want to show you. So along with this, so So you can even sign out. So suppose someone has signed in, then you can click here with the saying that suppose if you go for internet browsing center, you have logged in there and you forgot. So then you can click on sign out from here also. Yes. Here also it shows what is your IP address of your mobile, from where internet connection, from where the IP address. These details will be available here. So this is about thing. So try out this. I just want you people to try out, even in your mobile also. So what you have to do, click on myaccount.google.com. Did you type madidra? myaccount. You can write down myaccount.google.com. Okay, when you click on that, so you'll come to this page. So what you can do is, so you can see all the information. Either you can transfer the contents, manage your data in the personalization. So then keeping your account protected, account storage, either you can keep all your accounts in the cloud also. So then privacy suggestions available. So these are the things. So then personal information I just showed you. So all our details are available in Google. Yes, you can see what are the mail IDs I have. Any number or eshte mail IDs namgidru will display agutte. Yes. So then phone number work agutte. And choose what others see. So yen ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ about me. So yen ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತನೂ you can just click here. So in the same way, your organization, what is my organization? You can click on this and you'll come to know. So these days details, you can just Google it, you'll come to know about your personal thing. Search for your Google account. If you don't have, you can search your Google account here. What account? So the same way, you can, I'll just say, what is my account? ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಕಳ್ದು ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ ಡೇಟಾ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಯೂಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಒನ್ ವೇ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ವೇ ಡೇಟಾ ಅಂಡ್ ಪರ್ಸನಲೈಸೇಷನ್. ಸೊ ನನ್ನ ಡೇಟಾನ ಹೇಗೆ ಇಡಬೇಕು, ಹೌ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಕೀಪ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹೌ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಆಲ್ ಅದರ್ ಥಿಂಗ್. So these things you can do it. Okay, next I showed you about security. So security is very important, where so you can manage your devices. So recent security. So I have just, what are the devices I have, where I have logged out, yen madide. So these things you can just see about going on. So this is always important. You can ask for two-step verification. I think you people will be knowing. Get started. Everyone suggests that you should have a two-step verification. Always it is better to have a two steps verification, because always it will ask with your mobile. But the problem is, in case if you forget your mobile at home and you want to log in, then it becomes difficult. So third party app with your account. Okay, this one thing I just want to show you people. And people and sharing. So whom you want to, your family members, those things you can add here if you want about your. So the same thing, this is a very important thing I just wanted to show you. So what is this? Your devices. In which devices you lost, find a lost device. So you can click on this and you can say, where is my mobile? Either mobile or handset. So you can see, it will show you where actually, you can see here. So this green color one, what it is showing, it is exactly showing where is my mobile right now. Yes. So then that is what the thing. Play the sound. Secure device. You can see how you have to secure. So you want to add a message for the phone number, recover the message. So these things you can just check out. So then erase the device, just now I told. So if in case if you lose your mobile, then you by logging in like this, you can erase it. If you have lost your mobile, this is one option. Okay. So this was about your myaccount.google.com. One more interesting thing is you can click on my activity. So everyone can type myactivity.google.com. Can anyone check out? Hakadra, myactivity google.com. You have done? Type aita. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you just click on go to my activity. Go to my activity. Yes. So you can just click all these off. So in case if you keep it on, so it is something like all your details will be available. You can see here what are the things I have watched in my YouTube. So that's the reason I have, after knowing that, I've just switched off it. So location history also I just want to switch off. You can keep it on or off, but just I have offed it. So then you can see what are all the things I have watched here. Any number of years you can it will be available. See all these. It is 2020, 2020. Then you can see how it'll give you all the details. That is a then item viewed. What are the items I have viewed? You can see here. So you want to delete the activities, you can delete. So then activity control. So you can control your activities here. Suppose just yesterday only I have just closed it off. So if you want to delete any activity, you can delete. So item. Suppose let me say you have your brother's kids, and you want to control. They generally what small kids will be doing. They'll be using YouTube. So you want to control parental control. So that also you can do here. So then activity control. So what activity you want to give permission, what activities you don't want to give permissions. So that you can see here. So web and app activities. So this just if you go through it, it is very interesting. It's your mobile where you want to see. If you want a local history, you can just on here. So all these turn on, it will give you all the details. What was your history? I have switched off, I have put it on disable mode. So in the same way, you can use include your YouTube history, or you want, I have just switched it off. So this is my activity. So in the same way, activity control. So then Google account, the same way, it will go back to the same thing what just now I showed you. So this is about two things what I want to show. You can just Google and try out where is your mobile, and you can, that's what, if you have lost your mobile, you can try this. You can just try out with your mobile. Which are my mobile?
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
1 second.
Okay, thank you. So we will be starting in another 1 or 2 minutes.
Sure, sir.
Yes. This is what I just want to show, security. So how many, suppose if you have left your mail ID somewhere on and you want to switch off, you have not known. So you can go and check out where is your devices or mail IDs are on. Yes. So then go back and click here. Click on this and you can say sign out from here also. Yes. So this is one way where you can log out wherever it is logged in. So now right now the Gmail is on in my 2 devices. Same way you can check in your mobiles as well as in your laptops. If you have logged in 2 systems, it will show you how many devices it is logged in. And you can find out where is your lost thing. So if you want to erase it, all the details, find the phone. So it will find your phone. Either you can go from here also. This you can try, it is very interesting. And this also, you can just play a sound. Mute your mobile. In laptop, you can play the sound. Yes. So this one I just wanted to show you. So I'll stop. So like this, last 5 or 10 minutes every day, I'll just give you the demos like this, which will be helpful for you. Yes, fine. Okay, one more thing. I just want one pic. So suppose this, you can write down pic2map.com. I've just tried. What I am doing is pic2map.com. You have click this picture to map.com. Then select the picture. Any picture you can select. I'll just select some picture. I've selected some picture and tried it. So you can click on that. It'll open that pic, and it will give you all the information what related to that picture. You can see these are the two pictures. Yesterday I was just trying this and this one, and in your mobile it will show you, because here in my laptop I have not on GPS, whereas it will show you all the details. And you can see here what is, from where this picture is taken. It is taken from Samsung. The picture was taken, which date it was, 27th February. What is the exposure, what is the number, what is ISO, all these information. And from where you can click view more information, it will give you the more information. You can come down and see what are the camera information, what is a file information, what is the image size, what is a file. So all these you can, which date it is taken, which time it is taken. So this is also one interesting tool. Copied taken the website pic2.map.com. Tagondra?
Yes, ma'am.
Is, yeah, you can just take this, it will be interesting. So picture to map. So it will map to your picture and give you all the details, from where, which date it is taken, whether it is the real image. Some people, what it will do is 2 years pictures they'll show today. They'll show this is the yesterday I have taken. So we can identify these things from where the images have been taken. That is pic2.map. So I'll just stop here. I will continue in the next class. Thank you.